Hey everybody, I'm Lisa Young Sutton and welcome to my channel. Somebody in my group recently asked if my book contained combination lists. And well, any of you who know me know I have never been a fan of such lists. But as I was thinking about what he was asking, I recalled my earliest days in Lenormand when I was brandy new, knew nothing about the cards, and I remembered that those lists were the only resource I had. And I would have been lost without them. And they really did help me. They helped me just to get my bearings. You know, they laid a good foundation for me just in understanding how to use these cards. But I also remember that I was very often wrong in my interpretations because I didn't know how to use those lists properly. So I'd like to share some tips on how to make the best use of these lists, as well as sharing some of the lists that I know of with you. All right, so number one, in choosing a list to work with, check the site's card meanings first. For example, if you're a traditional reader and you interpret the moon as fame, attraction, and recognition, and the site you're using uses the moon to represent only dreams and romance, well, then any combinations that site offers for the moon are not going to work out for you, especially if you're laying a spread in answer to a question about work or a family issue, and the moon shows up and you check this combination list and it's applying, it's seeing the moon as a card of romance, so it's not going to help you at all. Another card is the snake. I noticed that at least one site interprets the snake as sexy and smart rather than treachery, lies, and betrayal. Again, those combinations will not work for you. Okay, number two. You want to go to those combination lists with the context of your question in mind. So if you're asking if your package will arrive on time and you draw the rider and clover and you're brand new and you're still not even sure what the cards mean, and you check your favorite combo list and it says a lucky young man, which that was the first combination meaning I found in the first site that I went to today. Well, that's not going to be very helpful, is it? So remind yourself of your question and context before you go to those lists. Number three, and I think this is the biggest issue I have with these lists, is that I have not seen any combination lists that offer meanings based on the order of the cards. If you know of any, please share them in the comments below, because I think many people would be interested in that. So my point is, if you're reading a narrative line from left to right, you're going to need to ignore any combination suggestions that are obviously based on the opposite. For example, you know what? Here, hang on. Let me grab a couple cards here. Here's my Maugus's Lenormand deck. Right, what are the cards here? Oh, good. Here, we got Mice and Mountain. All right, let's look at Mice and Mountain. So here we have, okay, you're reading left to right. The story starts with mice, and then it goes to mountain, or you could just say that mountain is describing the mice, all right? So we could say that this is a challenging loss, right? Think about that. The story starts with loss, and then it goes to a challenge, a challenging loss. This could say big worries. This is the card of those underlying gnawing worries and anxieties, and the mountain as a descriptor is big. Okay, so it's big worries. This is an uphill battle trying to overcome shortage or pollution or damage. All right, now but switch the order. Now switch the order. Now you have mountain followed by mice. Now this could say a filthy enemy. Mice is the card of filth. The mountain is the enemy card. That's a filthy enemy. Or a challenge that causes lingering anxieties. Or an unhealthy way to lose weight. Oh, that's a good one, because the mice, yes, the mice is eroding the mountain, but in an unhealthy way. This is the card of unhealthy healthy situations, fills, right? This could be a big problem is slowly becoming smaller but leaving a big mess behind. Or a corrupt enemy. Let me grab another card here. I have the sun right here. Let's keep the mountain and let's throw the sun in there. All right, here, let's do it this way first. Okay, here we got the sun, followed by the mountain. All right, the sun, followed by the mountain. This could be, well, the light is being blocked, right? Blocked light, delayed growth, unwilling to be happy, refusing to see the obvious, or obstacles to enthusiasm. Now switch them. Now we have, remember, you're reading left to right. You start with the mountain, so you're overcoming this challenge here, right? And now on the other side of that challenge is the sun. So now, basically everything I just said, you can reverse it. Now you have optimism after a struggle, or victory after rejection, or warmth after coldness. Now, speaking of the sun, I know I just mentioned the sun as growth, and so many of these lists use the tree. There's the tree right there. The tree is the card of growth. Now, while the tree is actually the card of slow growth or stagnated growth or a situation that's trying to grow, or as I always say, striving to thrive, remember that the tree is the card that represents health and well-being. And it relies on the other cards to explain the state of the health or well-being. But on its own, it's actually shading the energy from reaching the cards around it. Its roots are draining the energy out of those cards. So the tree is an energy drainer. And yet people are looking at it as a card of positive growth. It's an energy drainer. The sun is an energy supplier. Okay? I mean, if you look under a tree, nothing is going to grow well right under a tree, depending on whether or not any sun can get down there. Okay? Yeah. All right. So, my most important tip for you is this. Before you visit your sites of, the sites with the combination lists, check your primary vibes or core meanings for your cards first. Make sure you know what your core meanings are. What is your core meaning for that tree or the sun, right, or the mountain? Make sure you know that first before you go to those lists, because your meanings have to jive with that site's meanings. Remind yourself of how you'll be interpreting the spread, which is my point here about the order of the cards. Are you reading left to right, or are you reading right to left? Are you some people are very directional readers, right? So they may be reading right to left, depending on the directionality of the cards. Or are you laying a spread such as a descriptive spread with a center card focus, where you lay that center card down first, right? And then you draw two other cards around it, and you read them. You read the center card as your main focus, or maybe the first card, you lay that first as your focus, and the other cards are just further describing it. Right. My point is that you have to know how you're reading the order of the cards before you can even think about looking at a combination list. And then, like I said, remind yourself of your question and the context before you go to those lists, because you're going to be able to rule out all of the combination suggestions that don't apply. Right? So then, my suggestion is that you make your own lists if you really want to of combinations. But even better than that would just to make a list of all possible meanings for every card. And then as long as you know the order in which you're reading those cards, you never have to even consider what any two cards mean. You're going to know just by reading each individual spread. This happens, then this, then this. Simple. And really, the main reason I have never created combination lists is because I don't use them myself. But as a teacher, I don't want to hand you a fish, because you'll eat the fish today and then tomorrow you'll be hungry again, which means you'll look at that list today and then tomorrow you're going to have to look at it again. You're going to keep looking at those lists. What I want to do is teach you how to fish so that you'll never be hungry again. All right? And it's a really bad habit to start using those lists early on before you've even tried to answer the question yourself. I want you to use your reasoning mind, use your list of meanings, use your intuition, and come up with a possible answer, even if you're just guessing, before you go to the list. All right? Then you can go to the list and say, oh, look, there it is. That's what I thought of. Oh, great. You know, then it's confirmation, or it's going to give you more ideas, but you already kind of know where you're going, so you can rule out all of the combinations that won't apply. Sometimes you go to those lists because you can't find the right words. Like, you know in your mind what those cards mean, but you just cannot think of the words. And of course you can use an online thesaurus, which is what I always use for that too. But you can also use those combination lists to give you ideas of how to say what you're trying to say. So they do have value. All right, you just need to know how to use them. All right, so that's it for this video. Now check the description box below for links to some nice combination list sites. And if you haven't yet done so, grab a copy of my 2 books, which are available in ebook format as well as hard copy. Okay, and also join my Facebook group, Lisa Loves Lenormand, Traditional, Petit, Grand Jeu, KIPPER, and more, and get your tickets for the World Lenormand Summit, which is now only 3 weeks away. And you'll find a link to that in the description box below as well. All right, so until we meet again, have fun playing with your cards. Bye, everybody.